My name's Aura, and I'm your Tableau instructor today. So what are we going to do today? We're going to have a quick overview of Tableau, just to give you a feel for what you can do with the tool and something you can create in really a short amount of time. So let's get started. A few things we're going to learn in this period. We're going to learn about bar charts, line charts, filters, colors, with the U for the UK, without the U for the US in spelling. Then we're going to do a calculated field, and then we're going to create a dashboard. The final dashboard is going to look something like this. We're going to have the list of countries to the left. We're going to have the total sales, total profit, average profitability, and then profit over time, a nice chart at the bottom here. We're going to get the data we're going to use is going to come from the EU Superstore's sample data set that comes built in with Tableau. So let's switch over to Tableau and get started. To connect to the data source, you need to click on Connect to Data and then choose the sample EU Superstore. Great, fantastic. So Tableau has loaded a lot of data for us to play with. So if we go back to our PowerPoint presentation, we said, okay, we're going to get a list of countries. So let's look up the countries. Ooh, there we go, country and region. To put the countries in, all we have to do is just drag the country into rows or columns. We're going to put it in rows for now. Okay, so you can see we've got 15 countries from Austria to the United Kingdom, which is fantastic. Okay, so I'm just going to label this worksheet as country, so it's easily identifiable. Next, we said we wanted a box that showed total sales. Okay, so we're going to create a new sheet, find sales, and drag that in. Now, there are two types of Tableau sort of splits data into two different types. The first are dimensions. These are things that describe the data, such as a country, things you can't really do calculations with. So the country, the customer name, the shipping date. Although with dates, you can do a few calculations with them anyway. But in general, that's sort of the demarcation. So if we're looking at sales, sales is something we can do calculations with. So I'd expect to find that under the measures. So I'm going to take sales, and I'm going to drag it into the rows. So we can already see we've got a chart showing sales. And in order to be able to have a label on top of it, there are two ways of doing this. Either I drag the sales field, the sales pill, as it's sometimes called, from the measures area into label, and the label then comes there. Okay, I can't see it properly. Two ways I can then do this. I can either extend this here or fit width so that it takes the whole screen. I don't want it to fit width for now, so I'll keep it as standard, but keep the spacing. Okay, next. But I said, okay, I actually wanted a box, not a chart. So I'm going to come to the Show Me option here and click on text. Okay, so I've got text, which is kind of cool. I've got that in there. I want it to be in the form of a box though. So I'm going to change the mark from automatic, which is automatically gone to text, to a square. Okay, fantastic. This is looking good. However, the square is obviously too small. So I'm going to make the square bigger. Go to size, drag it. Let's make it bigger. Okay, this is looking good. But still, it's not a square. It's more like a rectangle. So I'm going to drag this down a bit. And voila, we've got a nice square. We can even drag this out a bit. Okay, but now we see the text is sort of in the middle, and it's sort of aligned right, whereas I'd prefer it to be aligned in the middle. So I'm going to right click the text, go to Format. So again, right click and then click on Format. Then I'm going to go to so come here, click on Sum of Sales, and then you'll have the option of Axis or Pane. We're going to work with the pane, so that's the data within here. I'm going to go to Alignment, and center align. Voila, and there you have it. It's center aligned. So I'm going to call this sheet sales, or in fact, I'm going to call it total sales. Next on our list, we had total profit. So, but instead of creating a new sheet and then drag and then going through all the steps, I'm just going to duplicate this sheet and change the name from total sales to total profit. And then I'm going to replace this with the profit. I do this simply by dragging on the profit pill from the measures area on top of the text field there. Again, we see that the text is aligned right, and we would prefer it to be aligned in the middle. So as I said before, we right click, click on format, then click on fields, click on sum of profit, and then center align. Now, an important thing to note is that Tableau has defaulted to the sum. You could actually change this, for example, to be an average. So you could right click, first of all, either click or right click on the pill, scroll down to the measure, then you could change it to average, for example. There you go. So the average profit, it calculates as 37. You could get the median profit. So that's at the order level, I believe, was 14. But what serves our purpose right now is the sum, because we're looking at total profit. So I'll put it back up on sum. But just so you have an idea, if you wanted to know what the maximum profit was as well, you could click on maximum. See, oh, there was something that earned us nearly £4,000 in profit. Interesting. Okay, but let's switch back to sum. Great. So in total, the company has earned £372,000. Well, £372,830 in profit. It's fantastic. Next, what did we want? Average profitability. Okay, let's have a look. So I'll change that from profitability to profit ratio, actually. By the way, it's kind of nice to plan, just do a rough plan of what you want your final dashboard to look like, because then it kind of guides you in how you then create the worksheets to create the dashboard. So typically when I am starting to create a dashboard, I might start off with a design concept in mind first, or I might just play around with the data to just understand what the data is. But this time I've chosen to start with having a sort of plan for what I want the dashboard to look like and the different elements in the dashboard. Okay, so we're going to do profit ratio. Just for illustration purposes, I'm going to do this. I'm going to start again in creating the box. So I come in here, I'm going to drag profit ratio to text this time. Okay, you can see it goes straight in the middle there. Okay, now one thing you'll notice is that next to the profit ratio, there's an equal sign. Now that tells us that this is a calculated field. So we can actually, so profit ratio was not originally in the data. It was actually created as a result of doing some calculations with some of the fields we already have. Let's have a look at what that calculation was. If you right click and then go to edit. Okay, so we see that profit ratio is the sum of the profit divided by the sum of sales. Okay, that's interesting. Okay, so we have this here now. Like we did before, we're going to make it a square and we're going to center align it. So let's do that. So we're going to come here, click on square. Fantastic. We know it's not big enough, so we're going to make it bigger. Another advantage, by the way, of doing what I did before, where I did a copy and a paste, where I copied the sales and changed it to profit, and just by making a copy, is that you can keep the sizes of the square consistent. Now I'm just going to sort of gauge what it was. Okay, and then, like I said, you right click, format, fields, click on that. And now I'm going to change this to center align. So in the middle. Fantastic. Let's call this profit ratio. Fantastic. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4 of our boxes, and the final one is a chart we're going to create. We want to look at profit over time, and we're going to look at it yearly to start with. So we've said profit, we've said time, so we need a time field. Now I'm going to go for the order date in this case. So I'm going to drag the order date to the columns, and you can see it's broken it down by year already. So 2016 to 2019. Fantastic. But we need to have some data in there. We decided we're going to work with profit, so let's drag profit in. So one way of dragging profit in is to just literally drag it into the rows. Another way of doing this would be to double click on profit, and then Tableau automatically inserts them in. So what we had before, I'm going to go with what we had before, so I can literally drag this from here to here. And now we have a nice line graph, which is beautiful. However, I think I prefer a bar chart. So what I'm going to do is come in here and click on bar, and voila. Do you remember what I said at the beginning when you wanted to put wanted the measure to show, when you wanted the labels to show? If you can, I'll wait about 3 seconds for you to figure out how to do it. Okay, let me show you how. So you take the number you want to show, which is the profit, and drag it onto the label. There you have it. So you can see the amount of profit in each year. Let's say I didn't want to do it that way. Another way of showing the values is to go up to the menu and click on analysis. Then click on show mark labels. Unfortunately, I believe I've actually cut off the menu bar in this video. Apologies for that. But it's in the analysis, and when you get to analysis, when you click on the analysis menu, you then click on show mark labels. Okay, fantastic. So we can see how things have progressed. So far, we've covered line charts, we've covered bar charts, we've seen what a calculated field is, but I am going to add another calculated field so I can show you how to create your own calculated field. But first, let's give this a name. So this is profit by year, for example. We'll call it that. Okay, fantastic. So let's go back to our country worksheet. Here, we don't want it to just show ABC. Let's say I actually wanted it to show the amount of profit for each country. Let's do that. So I'm going to drag profit into the text area. Interesting. So we can see that not all countries, although we're making an overall profit, not all countries are actually making a profit. You have Denmark, Ireland, Italy's fine. Ireland, Netherlands, Portugal, and Sweden, who are making losses. But to make this even more visible, I'd like to change the colors so that when it's negative, it's red, and when it's positive, it remains black. So how do we do this? One way to do this would simply be to drag the profit into color. And okay, so this is interesting. It's given it a range of colors, but actually I don't want the range. I just want an either or scenario. So I'll go to color, edit colors, and then I said I wanted black and red, right? So this is fine as red. I'm going to change this to black. Okay, so we have black, but we still have this diverging look, and I'm not keen on that. I just want 2 colors. So I'm going to bring this down to 2. Okay, interesting. And it's already put it right in the middle, which I believe is 0. But I can go to the advanced menu and actually set what I want to be the center point at 0. If I wanted, for example, I could say anything below 60. I want to be red, in which case this point here would be 60. But actually, I'm quite happy with 0. So I'll leave it at 0 and click apply. And now look at that. You've got black where it's positive and red where it's negative. So at a glance, I can see immediately what countries are doing well and what countries aren't bringing in a profit. Okay, so I actually think I prefer maybe not quite so black. Let's go for a dark gray, shall we? I think that's a bit too bright of a gray. So I'm going to change this a bit, make it a little bit darker, but not quite black. Let's see what that looks like. Yeah, I like that better. It's a slight difference. It differentiates this from the label text, so I think I quite like that. Okay, so that's great. Now, that's one way of putting colors in. Another way could be to use a calculated field to say if it's to demarcate whether something's a profit or a loss. Let's try that. So I'm going to right click on the profit measure, go to create, calculated field. Okay, so what we're going to tell the computer is if the profit is greater than 0, then call it a profit. Otherwise, call it a loss. Okay, so it's a simple if-then statement. If you're unsure how an if-then statement works, if you just come in here, so if this box is unavailable, just come and click the arrow on the right and type in if and scroll down to the one you're looking for. So it tells you if, add your expression, then you then say what happened. You can, this else if part is optional. The other part that's important is this else bit. So for us, it's if profit is, oh, but not just profit though. We want the sum of the profit because each country could potentially have multiple orders. So we want the sum of the profit. If the sum of the profit is greater than 0, then profit. You have to put that in quotation marks to show that it's text. Else, so what happens if it's not a profit? We want it to say loss. Okay, and then with an if statement, you always have to put end at the end of it. And then now you can see it says the calculation is valid. If I didn't put the end, it would tell me, ooh, calculation contains errors. If I click on it, it'll say expected end to match if at character 0. So it means I need to put end here. So which is what I'm going to do now again. There we go. And then I'm going to say profit / loss. That's the name of the field. Okay. Now I could then drag this in and voila, you can see all the fields that had a profit and all the ones that had a loss. I could actually even group the countries by the profit or loss status by bringing the country to the right. Would you look at that? So all the countries that are making a loss have been grouped together. All those that are making a profit have been grouped together. It's fantastic. I'm not too keen on showing all of the profit and loss for now. That was just, just to illustrate something. But another thing I could do is I could define the colors by using this profit and loss field. So I'm going to remove the colors that I've put in so far. Ooh, they're gone. Okay, so I'm going to take this profit and loss field, drag it onto color. Oh, and okay, it's already allocated some colors. It's given loss blue and profit orange. Okay, cool, but it doesn't really signify the color, the profit and loss the way I would want it signified. So I'd go into color. So click on the color box, edit colors. Let's change profit to green. Why not? And loss to a red. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, there you go. You can see them clearly. But like I said, I'm more of a fan of, I'd like to keep the text sort of dark gray for the profit and then a red for the loss. So I've chosen the color palette Seattle Grays because it has a gray that I like. Okay. Ooh, I've changed the wrong one. Okay, I have to make sure I select the right thing. So let's undo that. So I'm going to press Control Z to undo. That didn't work. I can't do it here. Okay, so I'm just going to go back. I'm going to first of all select profit, give it the color I want, then click on loss and go back to the palette that had the red. Let's go for, okay, that's all right. It's an interesting red. Okay, but I don't want the loss and profit to show anymore. I can tell just by looking at the colors what's a loss and what's a profit. So I'm going to remove that. Bear in mind, this is going to remove a pill, by the way, you can either just drag it out like that, or if I undo, so this is the undo button, I can come here, click on that drop down or right click and click on remove. There you have it. It's gone. Now the text, by the way, the country is arranged alphabetically. If I wanted, I could arrange the text also by the value. To do that, one of the quick ways of doing it would literally just be to come here, click on the sort descending by sum of profit. It tells you what it's going to sort by. So once you do that, there you go. You can see the United Kingdom has the highest profit so far, whereas the Netherlands is making the greatest loss. Fantastic. Okay, so we have that there now. I am going to create the dashboard. So far we've created new worksheets. So we have 5 different worksheets. This is the button to create a worksheet, but here is the button to create a new dashboard, which is going to be the exciting bit. Okay, we have a blank sheet. Great. You can change the dashboard size just right here on the top left. You've got a few different template sizes. You can also choose you can also put custom and choose your own size, but I'm going to stick with the desktop browser for now. Okay, now the thing to realize with dashboards is that you have to think of how it's going to be structured, because if the thing with dashboards is that you have to, if you want things to be fixed, so not just floating, floating, I'll tell you what floating it looks like. Floating means I can just drop anything anywhere, which for what we wanted to do could potentially work, right? I could drop it anywhere and then rearrange them as I please, but I want everything to be, well aligned. So is what we're going to do. We're going to do all of these things we've just pasted in right now. Oh, we've gone one step too far. Okay. And instead, we're going to create something like a grid. Let's go back to PowerPoint so I can illustrate what I'm talking about. So we have this here. If I decide to do it as a grid, you can see, okay, so here's a vertical grid, a vertical box within the grid. These could be looked at as 2 horizontal boxes within the grid, and then another set of vertical boxes within that horizontal. So that's what we're going to do. So first I'm going to drag in a horizontal box into the Tableau dashboard, and then fill one side with country, and then I'm going to drag a vertical box into there. Let me illustrate what that looks like. Horizontal first. Okay. Before we selected floating, so we're going to select tiled now, so it can be well structured. Okay, so we've dragged in horizontal. It doesn't look like anything's happened yet. It just looks like there's a box, but that's fine. So the first thing we're going to drag in is country. Okay, great. We've got country there. It's showing the legend for the country. Loss is red, profit is gray. That's fine. We can leave that there. Okay, the next thing we want to do is drag in. If we look at our thing, okay. So, okay, let's drag in a vertical box so that we can fit things in. I'm going to take vertical and put it next to the horizontal. Okay, notice that the legend is moved to the right. That's fine. This would pop, if we had any filters, it would populate over here. But okay, let's keep going. So what did we start with? We started with total sales, then total profit, then average profitability, although we did change that to profit ratio, didn't we? So let's go back in here, and you know what? We'll put in the profit by year at the bottom, although it's going to be at the top first. But don't worry, we're going to adjust it. Then we're going to drag another horizontal pane or box and put it right on top of the profit by year. Ooh, okay, it looks like it's pushed profit by year quite low. We're going to drag that, resize that a bit by just dragging on the edge, on the top edge of profit by year. And in here, we're going to put in the different bits. So first we had total sales. Next, we had total profit. Going to drag it to the right of there. Okay. And then after that, we had the profit ratio. Okay, great. This is looking good. This is looking good. I would like to rearrange this though. So to start with, let's make the country extend all the way down. How about we try that? Let's see what that looks like. Fit height. Okay. So country extends all the way down. That looks good. It's looking good. Looking good. This is great. It's looking like squares. You know, it's really nice, but I'd want them to be distributed evenly. So click on the box, and then on the right hand side, there's a drop down for more options. Click on that, and then click on distribute contents evenly. Okay, it's looking a bit better. It's looking a bit better. It could still be improved. So let's try something. First of all, I don't want it to be that big. The space to be that big. Okay, let's see. Then we can play around with this. You can see this here. You can, remember I showed you before where you can make it standard or you can make it the entire view. Let's try the entire view and see what that looks like. Ooh, okay, I'm kind of liking this. Okay, let's do more of this. Okay, so let's do this for the others as well. Okay, nice. Interesting. This one seems to fill the whole space, but this one doesn't. So what I'm going to do is go back into the sheet. In order to go back into the sheet, I'm going to click on that. I'm going to extend the size to make it as big as possible. Now, it looks like not much has changed, but actually something has changed. If I make this entire view here to see, you can see it fills the whole thing. So I've just undone that, but then I'm going to go back into the dashboard and voila, it's filled the whole thing. So if I wanted, I could make this smaller or drag it down to look like a square. Okay, yeah, I think that's fine. I think I'm going to make this a little bit slimmer. It doesn't need to take as much space. Okay, this is great. This is looking great. You know, looking at this, I'm thinking, well, it's nice, but it's taking up a lot more space than necessary, I think. So I'm going to reduce the size, the height of the dashboard. Let's make this 600 pixels and see what that looks like. Okay, this is all right, because then I can see everything in one go. Okay, so we've got the country showing over here. I'm going to make this a bit more roomy, and to spread things out, I'm just going to come here and click on entire view. Okay, great. Great. This is looking good. Okay, so I can see that the company has had 2.9 million in sales, 372,830 pounds in profit, and profit ratio of about 13%. This is interesting. Okay, but let's say I wanted to see I just wanted to be able to filter by country. So how could I do that? Well, there are two ways that you can do this. One is by adding a filter and letting it display over here, or making this clickable so that when I click on it, it affects everything else. Let's try the clickable one. I think that'll be quite fun. So if you click there, that means use this filter. If you untick it, you don't use it as a filter. So we're going to click it as a filter. Now look at what happens once I click on this. It affects everything else on the dashboard. So if I choose Denmark, for example, okay, so we can see that Denmark has been making a loss from 2016 to 2019, but it made its biggest loss in 2018. Interesting. Now let's check out Netherlands. Okay, so they made their biggest loss in 2018 as well. Seeing a pattern there. Ireland. Okay, something happened in 2018, definitely. I don't know what happened, but something happened there. Okay, anyway, if we look at the UK, okay, so the UK made its greatest profit in 2019. Austria, it's 2019 as well. Ooh, Switzerland made its greatest profit in 2018. Interesting. So I'm going to click on that again to reset everything. Okay, this is great. But then if I wanted to just filter and show only things for a particular country, what I could then do is click on the box for country, then click on the more options drop down, and then go to filters and click on country/region. Fantastic. We have all of these there. So if I wanted to not show the UK, could untick it and it disappears. Fantastic. But this is cool. It's there, but I want it to be a bit neater. I don't need to show all the countries. I just need people to be able to select them. So I'm going to come into this box, click on the box, then click on the more options drop down. And then I'm going to first change this to multiple values drop down. Okay, this looks a bit neater. So when I want to select a country, I just click there. I can unselect all and then choose maybe one or two countries that I actually want to show. Ooh, but look at this. It's not affecting the other worksheets within the dashboard. That's not good. I want it to affect everything. So for now, I'm going to click on all, leave them all selected, but I'm going to then tell the filter I want it to apply to everything on the dashboard. So one way to do this is go to selected worksheets and then click on all dashboards, all on dashboard rather, then click OK. Okay, great. So now if I untick it, look, everything disappears. And then when I bring a few countries back, you'll notice that these numbers change. Look at that. Okay, great. So now I can say, okay, let's remove a few countries, or let's say we only want, how can we demarcate the countries? Let's say we just want, I don't know, 4 countries. Okay, so I'm interested in Spain, Portugal, Norway, and France. There we go. So we can see the profit figures for each of these. And then we can see how much profit was made over time. This is really great, isn't it? Okay, so I'm going to go back to select all. Okay, so this is really good. This is really good. But let's see what ways can we improve this dashboard. I think it could do with a dashboard title to start with. So let's try that. Let's add a title. Ooh, okay, dashboard 1. Okay, that's the title there because that's the name of the dashboard here. We could change the title by changing the name here. So we'll call this EU Superstore Profit. Okay, fantastic. But with this title, I'd rather it be in the middle rather than on the left. So what you can do is click on the title, double click it. It'll bring up a dialog box to edit the title. You can then select it by double clicking and then press center align. Ooh, there we go. If you hit apply, it's in the middle. Let's give it a bit more space, shall we? Okay. but I think it could do with being a bit bolder. So let's double click it again. Double click this, make it bolder. I think I'm going to make it bigger as well. Let's see what that looks like. Okay. Actually, I don't like that name. Let's change the name to, let's see, EU Superstore Performance. Okay, changes the name. Now notice this name doesn't change here. So what we've done is that we've replaced the field. There was a field in there, which was the sheet name. Or the workbook name, the sheet name. Sheet name actually, the sheet name. The workbook is this here at the moment. It's just book 2. So it would have been the sheet name. But we've changed that to a custom title. So no matter what happens, even if we change the name here, down there, it's not going to change anymore. If we want to revert back to it though, we can simply remove this by hitting backspace and then click on sheet name. If you hit apply, see, it's now reverted back to the name of the sheet here. But that's not what we want. So I'm going to undo this and leave the name that I wanted in there. Another thing we could do is do a bit of formatting. So let's say we wanted to have borders around each area, each thing. So we could select this. So one thing I have to note, actually, this is great. I know it's profit. However, I can't tell just by visually looking that these are profit figures and not sales, for example. So what I'd like to do is change the title and call it profit by country, for example. So profit by country. Again, by removing the field that was originally there, I'm going to undo that so you can see what it was. It was sheet name, but now I'm going to change this back to profit by country. Excuse me. Hit OK. There we go. We can now see this country by profit by country rather. Okay, let's add a few boxes around these, shall we? So to add a border around this, you'd click on it, go to layout, and then in the border area, choose the kind of border you want. So I'm going to just choose plain solid border for each of these. Actually, I'd like a border, but not so dark. So let's make it a light gray. Light gray, yeah. So it's there, but not too obvious. Okay, let's do the same for this. It defaults to the solid line. When you click there, let's see. Oop. I'm going to click on that to make it gray. Okay, this is interesting. Obviously, you can play around a bit more with the design of the dashboard and what you want it to look like, the borders and all that. You don't have to go this way, but I just thought, okay, it's a nice way to, group things together. And there you have it. So, let's say, for example, I wanted the box to be around these 3 and not just the individual ones. What I could then do is select one of them, click on the More options drop down, and then click on Select Container. Remember, these are all located in the horizontal container. So I've selected the container now, and then I can put the border around that container. So if I make this darker so you can see the difference, there you go. So you can see the outer border and then the individual items have their own border within. Okay, there you have it. Your EU Superstore Performance Dashboard. If you have any questions, put them in the comment section below. Otherwise, I hope you've really enjoyed this whistle-stop tour of Tableau, and I hope to see you next time on the next video. Bye for now.